Hey folks, Nick here from the BookTube channel. This is my mid-year check-in. We are just about at the halfway point of 2023. I'm recording this video on June 19th. So I've actually got a couple weeks left to read some more books, but out of necessity, I have to film this video today. I've got a work trip coming up that's going to get in the way. So I wanted to just go over my year so far in reading. I picked some random categories to pick winners for. To talk about some of my favorites that I've read. I guess I'll start with high level. Number of books read so far is 36, which is a really good pace. Last year was my highest output ever, with 54 books read in the entire year. So I'm well on track to surpass that number this year. But I think it's important it's an important message to every reader out there that you shouldn't judge yourself based on the number of books you complete in the year, because no two books are alike. Like, this is a book, and this is also a book, and when you finish either one of these, that counts as one book read. So not all books are created equal. There's a lot of different. If you read longer books, you're not going to be able to hit higher numbers. There are some crazy booktubers out there that are able to read 36 books in a month rather than just a week. But it all depends on the amount of time you have in the day, the length of the books you're reading, and even if you want to go based on page count, pages aren't built differently in each book. Some pages the font is incredibly small and the words are packed in there like a Brandon Sanderson book, and sometimes it's like Kurt Vonnegut, where you've got two-inch margins on either side and font that's like size 16. So don't worry about the numbers, just worry about enjoying what you're reading. And I've been really enjoying what I'm reading this year. It's been one of my favorite reading years ever. I've only had one DNF the entire year so far, which is great. And that's been Full Moon by Jim Butcher, the second Dresden Files book. So a bit of an inauspicious title for that one, but that's been my one DNF. So yeah, those are my high-level stats. So let's get into some of these categories. And I'm going to start with my favorite comic book that I've read this year. And I should say my favorite non-Swamp Thing comic book, because I am doing the Swamp Thing read-along now, where I'm rereading Alan Moore's Swamp Thing. So obviously that's the best thing I've read, but that's too easy. I want to give something else. So I will say Do a Powerbomb by Daniel Warren Johnson is probably my favorite comic or graphic novel I've read this year. It is high-flying, energetic action. It's great. It's a great wrestling comic with a supernatural kind of twist to it. It's really awesome. It's very surprising. The writing is top-notch. The art is phenomenal. Really, guys, I really want you to check out this book. It's so fantastic. It's easily, it was like the first book I thought of when I thought of this category was Do a Powerbomb. So please definitely check that out. Most surprising book that I actually enjoyed, that I did not expect to, that's Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I read this as part of my back to school reading challenge, where I'm revisiting books that I was supposed to read in high school but didn't. Jane Eyre was definitely one of them, and I really enjoyed it. I wouldn't say that I loved it. I don't know that I would go back to it anytime soon, but it was a very enjoyable read, and I do think I got a lot out of it. I don't think that it's a great school book. I don't think it's great for teenagers nowadays. I don't think they're going to get much out of it. But as an adult man, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the prose. I enjoyed what happens in it. I thought it was really well written. My least enjoyed book of the year, this was kind of a no-brainer. It's The Last House on Needless Street by Catriona Ward. I've got a review of that up. It's a pretty popular video comparatively for my other stuff. I think because of the inflammatory title, I hated this book. And it's true, I really didn't like the book at all. It's a very popular book on BookTube and Instagram. I figured out what was going on in the first like 15 pages, and I read it with rage. I rage read it the entire way through, hoping that something would change in it that surprised me, and it just never did. So sorry if you heard that car horn. I've got the window open. It's a beautiful day out, and I wanted to sit by the window and feel the wind. So you'll have to deal with a little bit of background noise if that's coming through. Sorry about that. My favorite revisit of the year. So a book that I've read before that I enjoyed going back to. I actually haven't done a lot of rereads this year, only a couple, and that's been very specific choice. I wanted to read all new stuff this year rather than fall back on stuff I've read before. There's too many books out there to be just constantly rereading stuff. And my favorite revisit has been The Little Sleep by Paul Tremblay. Tremblay is one of my favorite horror authors. He's absolutely fantastic. I've been reading him for years, and this is one of his pre-horror books. This is a detective, like pulp noir novel about a narcoleptic private eye, and it's really fun. It's a really fun book. Tremblay does a really good job of capturing that kind of that noir narrative voice that you kind of expect from that genre, and just playing with it in interesting ways. He is able to inject his trademark unreliable narrator in here by virtue of him being narcoleptic, which is really cool. So I had a lot of fun with this. I had read it a long time ago and I didn't remember it at all, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought that I would. Next up, the book that I'm most looking forward to in the second half of the year. I don't own a copy of it yet, but I know that I'm going to get to it. I've had this recommended to me by other Robert McCammon fans multiple times, and that's Stinger by Robert McCammon. I don't know anything about it. I've had it recommended to me, and I've been really enjoying my Robert McCammon books this year so far. And I just that one in particular, I'm really looking forward to. I've got some other books of his that I got to get through first that I already own. I'm trying to read books that I own first as much as possible, and then hopefully that second half of the year I'll be able to get to Stinger. The nicest like physical book that I got, so like an actual like nice cover or nice edition of a book. So I'm gonna choose two here. One comic and one prose book. So the prose book is Dune Messiah, the new special edition, which I really like. When they released this edition for Dune, I bought it immediately because it was beautiful, and I wished for so long that they would do something similar for Dune Messiah, and it finally happened. This is a great hardcover. I do think the price point's a little high. I think $50 for Dune Messiah is a little bit much, considering it's a pretty short novel. But when you consider like the illustrations, like in the end papers, the quality of the cover, and just the amount of effort that's gone into it, it's a really nice package overall. And for comics, it's this big old omnibus here called Home to Stay. These are the collected EC Comics adaptations of Ray Bradbury stories. I made a full video about this. There's a really interesting story behind this book. And if you're a Ray Bradbury fan, this is kind of, I'm going to dare say, an essential thing for you to take a look at. Because Ray Bradbury was a comics fan, and he enjoyed these stories quite a bit. He enjoyed these adaptations quite a bit. Again, there's a really cool story behind it. Highly recommend my video where I talk about it. But really awesome, high quality, black and white reproductions. I like that it's got a little book tag, like an actual bookmark, like a string, like a library edition. Pretty neat. Favorite video that I've made this year. So a personal favorite video that I worked on is the video where I go over, is the Stormlight Archive right for me? I just remember having a really good time like researching for that video and writing it out. And I think that filming it was a really good experience. I felt like I was starting to come out of my shell a little bit as a booktuber. And I just had a lot of fun with that one. It did reasonably well compared to my other videos, Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites. I have a soft spot for it. I would like to do more stuff like that on the channel. I just don't know if I have the expertise in a lot of these other fantasy series that other booktubers don't have the market cornered on. But I did enjoy that one quite a bit. Um, a new author that I am looking forward to reading more of. So this is an author that I read for the first time this year that I'm most likely to pick up again. There's actually a few that I could have chosen here, but I am going with Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I read Mexican Gothic recently, and I really enjoyed it. And I came very close to picking up another one of her books at the bookstore just this week. I opted to grab some other stuff instead because I had some other things like specifically that I wanted like on my TBR. Um, but yeah, I really liked what they did with Mexican Gothic, and I really quickly glanced at the rest of their bibliography, and I saw it. I don't know. It just seemed really interesting. So I will probably try to read some more of Moreno Garcia's work soonish. And finally, my favorite read of the year, just in general, my top book, number one so far, and that's going to be Boy's Life by Robert McCammon. I just absolutely, this book floored me. It brought me to tears multiple times. It's a beautiful story, very reminiscent of Ray Bradbury, like Dandelion Wine, Something Wicked This Way Comes, like those Bradbury novels. I don't know that any other McCammon book is going to come close to this one for me. I mean, it's this and Swan Song, like right up there at the top. But I'm going to go through the rest of them, and I'm going to see what else he's got. But I really, really love this book, and it's going to be hard to dethrone this in 2023. So that is it. That is my mid-year wrap-up. Let me know your thoughts about any of those categories I mentioned or those books that I mentioned in the comments. Take those categories that I created, and if you want to just leave your choices in the comments below, I would love to see how your reading year is going. How many books have you read, or what have you not finished? What did you hate? Stuff like that. Please let me know. I really enjoy interacting with you guys. But for now, thank you very much for spending some time with me today. It's time to get back to reading.